Hey everyone, welcome to our fifth podcast here at the main pod. I want to give a special shout out to Julian, my co host, who's working the boards out here at the switch. So he's making sure everything goes good. Also, I want to give a shout out to our special guest before I introduce him. Not only is he a realtor at Main Street Realtors, he's a father, he's a son, a generational realtor. Our special guest here, Nick Ondatje. I like to say your last name, Nick.
Ondatje. That was perfect. Yeah, nailed it. What's up? What's up, main pod?
What is that? Tell us. First of all, where does your last name come from? Because I love saying it.
Yeah, Ondatje. That's probably the first question I get most of the time when I meet somebody new is where's that name from? My father was or is the one of 9 children and came here from Sri Lanka.
Sri
Lanka, but the name itself actually has Dutch origins.
Okay.
And a lot of people probably have heard of Michael Ondatje. He wrote The English Patient that won an Oscar, and he's wrote a whole bunch of great novels. Actually,
not related.
Yeah, related.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole story to that too, but we'll have to. That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, absolutely, I want to hear about that, man. Okay, Nick. So tell us a little bit about. Well, first I want to hear the background about your family and how they got into real estate and how you had to fall into it as well.
Absolutely. So I've been in the business since 2003. So this is year 20 for me. My father is still active practicing realtor. He's also here at Main Street. Adrian and Diane.
Shout out.
Yeah. And man, he taught me so much, and able to learn from him and be inspired to get into this business. It's actually a family business for us. He has a couple sisters that are in real estate. My aunt Donna's up in Thousand Oaks. My aunt Sandy's in Huntington Beach, and they've been doing it forever. So it's always been kind of like a fabric of our family, the real estate business. And when I was in my young 20s, I was in international air freight, so exports,
logistics,
shipping, logistics all over the world. Like I would negotiate with international carriers. I got into that like the age of 19, 20, and I was commuting all the way out to LAX, El Segundo.
All the ports out there.
Yeah, and already in real estate. And he was kind of telling, man, you got to get into this. This is where it's at, and you have all the gifts and pieces to be involved with this. So way back then, probably 2002, I started working with him, doing marketing, helping to initiate like the very first phases of like what we now call a CRM. But back then it was Top Producer and
Top Producer AI.
Top Producer. And organizing the database and like just really seeing a real estate business from the inside out. And I worked with him and Diane for about, I'd say a little over a year, and then started to kind of break off on my own and build my own branding and sphere of influence and clientele as well. So been a great adventure, but absolutely inspired and led to get into the business because of the family connection, for sure.
That's awesome. So our family, like Thanksgiving's where you're over here trying to do sales too, learning how to close.
Yeah. We and
Christmas was around the corner. Look, I want this toy.
Right. Yeah. You talk about what's in escrow and it's really nice to have a sounding board.
Right.
And say, hey, I've got these challenges. And when you're able to talk to an experienced realtor who's also a family member, your pops, like that's really helpful because you're gaining not only experience that you have day to day, but also all the experience he's had for all these years as well, right? So you kind of get an advantage. And it's crazy because my son, my oldest son, Neo, he's working on getting his license right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's 18.
That's awesome. So you have 2 boys.
I have 3 sons.
Oh, 3 sons.
Yeah, I have 3 sons. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 sons, because I see your youngest one here. Right?
That's my middle son.
That's your middle son.
Yeah, that's Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg's a big baseball player.
Nate Dogg, yeah. Nate's going to school right down the street here at EM, and so it works out logistically. and I've been able to spend a lot more time in the office now that he's here.
That's
So
pretty cool. So you saw your dad, now he's seeing you,
Yeah.
Do real estate. So that's cool. So is your dad taking you, or your family, you mentioned you also have aunts also in the industry.
Yeah.
Were you doing open houses with them too, taking them around, or?
No, I never really got to interact with them on the business side of things. We would just see each other at family gatherings, and then later as social media became more prevalent and whatnot, then they would comment on what I was doing, and we could kind of interact a little bit more there. But that was after I had already kind of gone out, and done my thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get licensed right away, like right out of high school, or?
No, I was 23 years old.
Oh, you said, because that's right, you were doing logistics and stuff. But I'm saying, I know a lot of people who have family in the business get licensed,
but don't practice.
Yeah.
And
so you didn't get licensed way after.
No, I think it was probably a month or two after I got my license that I closed my first escrow.
That's awesome.
And this was like back in the days with floor time. Whoever answers that call that comes into the office, you pull out your Thomas guide and say,
that big old book.
Yeah.
Forgot the book.
Go back like Thomas guides, and writing an offer on the hood of the car, kind of thing. That was how my first escrow came to be.
At the office.
Yeah. Delivering it to the listing agent. And I think kind of going through those different cycles just gives you a lot of perspective to know, like, hey, whatever happens with the market, there's always a way through. Right.
So talking about the market, you said whatever happens with the market's way through.
Yeah.
I love that, because there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right.
So what do you see in today's market that's been helping, or I'm sorry, let me retract my question.
Yeah.
What is helping you in today's market, to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Because everyone's talking about, oh, it's so hard, or rates, or blah blah blah. What is it that Nick is doing to get to that light?
Yeah, I think it is challenging, and I think we have to acknowledge that. Okay, this is a challenge. This is a challenging market. However, we've been through challenging markets, and we've endured and persevered through challenging markets. So knowing that, like that's what keeps you going. But what am I doing specifically on a day-to-day? I'm making it even more and more important to connect with all the people who have trusted and basically employed me to guide them through this process, right? So like being more and more connected, I think is where we're headed, because it has to be about the people. Absolutely. It has to be about helping people. When we take care of people, business takes care of itself, right? And that doesn't mean that we don't have some slow times. The real estate's a roller coaster, right? In more ways than one, right? But we know that, man, when you do the work, when you help the people, everything else has a way of working itself out inevitably, right?
Exactly. That's why I keep going back. We are in the business of service.
That's it. It's a people business.
Yeah. Get your rewards.
if we put
the time and effort, absolutely.
And authentically as possible, yes. because if we say we're putting people first, but actually it's just about a commission, or it's just about another deal, or it's about numbers. I've really never been about that part of it. Like, I know that there's people out there that if I can guide them through this, I'm gonna help them better than anybody else could. And we have to feel like that. Like, there's people that need me out there, and the experience and the knowledge, right? Like, there's people that need that. So if I'm not making myself available by keeping in contact and staying connected, I'm doing them a disservice, I think. Yeah. Right?
Exactly. And I see you do those videos and continuously post them on social media, which I think is so important to keep not only, your clients informed, but everyone out there on social media. You're, like you said, you're making the connections.
Right.
You're teaching them some things they didn't know, or things are about to start happening, or the movement you're seeing in the market.
Right.
So that's really important. And I love that you give that value out.
Yeah, I think first of all, we have to be really consistent, right? And we have to be the knowledge broker. We have to be the one that's providing the information to people, because people are getting information from uh sources that are not accurate, like the news. Well, I was gonna say no names.
I said it.
But staying, and if there's people in the business that are doing things and not seeing like interaction with that, I would say keep going,
Mhm.
because I don't gauge that. They don't that kind of content doesn't get a lot of likes or shares necessarily. A little bit here there, but it creates relationships and conversations that's where the true value is like, man, like every time I see this dude, he's dropping some knowledge about the real estate game. If I'm in a situation where I need information, that's who I'm going to reach out to,
Mhm.
right? Because we establish ourselves as the source of that info, I think.
And they may not need you at that specific
Yeah.
moment, but they'll come back to you.
Right. That's
And
like,
that's what it's
yeah.
all about. The connection, right? The follow up, the follow through. They
Yeah,
remember you.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that, Nick. I love watching your videos. I really do. I'm like, okay, copy paste. I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna
Yeah.
copy. I'm gonna repost it. But yeah, so what is your most? I would say your last current rewarding closing that you had, where you were just like, damn, this one really touched my heart. I know there's a lot. I'm sure.
Yeah.
you've talked
And I
about.
feel so personally connected to all of them.
Mhm.
Like this has kind of been my little secret weapon, is like I treat every single one like it's my purchase or my sell. Like that's how much I want my clients to have success. So the relationships that get formed are really deep, right? And man, I think about, like, a lot of, my son plays baseball. So I've had the opportunity and privilege to work with a lot of the parents of kids that I've coached or kids that have played with him. And that's really cool, because I don't go out of my way to market myself in those arenas, but you build trust just because people see who you are,
Yeah, everyone's watching.
right?
Yeah.
Like man, if somebody trusts you to coach their child, like that's a high level of trust. And then if that leads to a relationship where I'm able to help them sell or buy real estate, that's pretty cool,
Mhm.
And I think that's the lesson I take from that, is like, wherever you're at, whatever arena you're in, um, that's one example, youth sports, but it could be whatever you do socially or your hobbies. Like, there's people to connect with right there, and you just got to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you just be yourself and you attract the people that are going to work with
Be
you,
authentic, like you said, continuously
Yeah.
be authentic, and people see that value.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So a little curveball here. So knowing that your family, you guys are all in real estate, do you ever get like that one family like, damn, my cousin so and so should have used me instead of you went to my Thea? Like, does that ever happen?
It's not well. I wouldn't say everybody's in real estate, because we have a big family, and there's more of us that are not in the business
Right.
than are. But if it comes down to like who they're gonna work with in the family,
Like, has there ever been a little, not to get personal, I don't want to
no,
that,
I don't
but
think
like,
so. I think the way that any of us would see that is that's who they felt comfortable with. And that could be for a lot of different reasons, right?
There's
Like,
some
if
stories. So I'm
yeah,
like,
hey, maybe I don't want my parents to know this about my financial picture, or like, so that you don't know what the thought process is,
mhm.
but people make those are really personal decisions.
I'm with you on that. I'm
Yeah.
so with you on that, because I've heard stories where, my sibling went to my aunt instead of me, and I'm like thinking to myself too, like the same thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if I want you to know my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's ever like
But I've heard
a
some
disrespect.
stories, like, where there's been, we don't talk no more. You're not invited.
I mean, but like, you and I know, like,
Right.
if we've been doing this long enough, there's somebody who we know for sure is going to work with us when they sell or they buy a house, and then they don't.
Mhm.
It happens. And you feel a little bit of pain in that, just because you probably could have done a better job for them, or you could have got a more advantageous scenario for them. But it's like, you just never know. There's so many elements. When that happens, I think to myself, how could I have communicated that to them, that whatever it was, did someone give them some kind of an offer or something that was too good to be true? What block or wall did I have up that they didn't hit me up and say,
let me come work with
yeah.
Yeah, let me hire you as my agent.
Yeah, or what do you, because a lot of people do, they, even if they're gonna make a different move, they'll check in with me and say, what do you think about this, right? What happens?
Don't you get that? Yeah, like I mean, not to name names, but I had a family member really close to me go with someone else and then calling me during their transaction.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
And of course, those are
the help.
Those are the great, but it, you know what that tells you? It tells you that the trust is really with you, and there was some other factor why they didn't do it, and it wasn't because you weren't the most knowledgeable professional option. You were. That's why they reach out to you when they're actually in trouble.
But isn't that crazy how we get that?
Yeah,
like,
we just have to know that, though.
Yeah.
Like we have to know that the best possible option for them is me.
Yeah.
And if they don't know that, then maybe there's another factor, or I didn't do a good enough job making sure that they knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I think that's all it boils down to, really.
So what pieces and tying in the trust and the connecting with people out there, what sources and are you currently using right now that's helping you keep in contact with everyone with your follow-ups and stuff?
Yeah.
Is there specific, tax you're using? Like,
yeah, I'm doing some gifting stuff, like personal gifts for like my inner circle, right? Like my AA clients, not AA clients. That's not what I meant. Wait, hold on, Julian.
Like,
no, my A1s.
we want baseball tickets.
Yeah. But yeah, gifting and really staying connected. Yeah, personal gifts, and then of course I think just staying in touch, right? Like reaching out. There's a lot of ways to do that now with social media, right? But we got to go deeper than that, right?
Absolutely.
And we got to go deeper than that, because that's like really kind of superficial contact at this point. Everybody does that. So there's certain times we need to pick up the phone and let them hear our voice. I heard dude Tristan Ahumada, who does like lab coat agents and all that.
Okay.
And he did a business planning seminar down in Carlsbad last week or the week before. And he said he calls it HOP. So you want to meet people at home, you want to meet people online, and you want to meet people in person, right? Because something special does happen in person.
Absolutely.
Like that they can't, even if they see video of me every day talking about real estate, it's different when you have an actual like I know that when I have a conversation with someone in person, now they feel my energy. Like it's different. There's a deeper connection that happens that it's really important, and we're losing a lot of that because of them. I mean, we all love technology, but we're losing some of that in-person connection that is important. We have to fight to maintain that, right?
And I feel strongly, I always continue back to say this, real estate is a personal touch business. Aside from service, it's a one-on-one business. As far as like personal touch, like you have to be in front of your client. You have, like you said, you feel the energy. You'll know if they want to work with you or not, and vice versa if you want to work with them.
100%.
So I totally agree with you with that. Aside from, the calls and stuff, are you using like any sort of drip campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely.
I CRM systems.
Yeah. I obviously have access to Boomtown, but I've also been starting to look into Chime, which I think just recently changed over to Lofty. Mm-hmm. And they've got a lot of really cool AI features with being able to set up those campaigns and stuff. And I haven't gone too deep into it yet because I'm a little old school. But I'm always trying to learn. I'll try to learn from my sons about the new technology and AI and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think it's really important that we maintain authenticity, right? And the human connection as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. So with the stories of, you giving back and Not AA, guys. That is A1.
I'm down with AA. Yeah, no. So AA, yeah. I'm down with that too.
I mean, I'm just saying. Aside from giving back and like you said, gifting and stuff, like I know you probably do, the drips you mentioned, your CRM system that you use. Aside from holiday stuff, like when you do open houses and stuff like that, I know you do those.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen your videos.
Yeah.
Like I said, you keep that energy. You keep the same energy on your videos
right.
as you do now, which I really admire and I appreciate that because sometimes you get the hype and then you meet them and
it's a different person.
They're so introvert. You're like, okay, that wasn't you, but it's all good. I also want to hear, what would you, now knowing what you know, tell yourself then?
Tell young Nick.
Tell young Nick. Like, if knowing all the knowledge you know now and you've learned in real estate throughout the years, what would you tell
the number one thing, like just
to do?
stares me in the face right now is buy more real estate.
Elaborate on that, please.
Right? I mean, because like think about what the market has done now. In 2008 and 9 and 10, I was selling REOs. Like I got connected with asset managers and I was doing BPOs and all those. I got so many stories with that kind of.
You and I was in that industry too. REOs, BPOs.
But I mean, how many properties were out there under 100,000? A lot. And most of us, if we had a time machine, like how many? Not would you buy a house if I could go back 10, 15, 20 years? It's how many houses would I buy, right? And I think if you look at today's market, that seems really intimidating, but the same story remains true. Mm-hmm. If you have the ability to buy real estate because it will appreciate, right? It will be the best investment that you can make. So that's something I'm teaching my boys. Like, okay, you don't have to be a realtor. You don't have to be an agent, but understand this world because there's tremendous opportunity here. Right. So I would also tell myself, aside from that, on the business side, is it's going to be hard sometimes. You're going to want to do anything else. But what else would you rather do? What else would you rather do? This business has afforded me like a great life, the ability to provide for my family, the ability to be there for them, coach my boys and everything, be present, right? Like that is what real estate has given me. And so it's like, stay the course, because like if you can't be in the valley, you can't be on the mountaintop, right? The mountaintop is reserved for those who have endured the valley. So like, if you're in the valley right now and you feel like, man, I don't even want to do this anymore, this sucks, like, keep going. Right. If you can keep going, because it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. And I know a lot of people are getting out of the business. The failure rate's high because the entry barrier is low, right? But maybe it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. But if you believe in your heart that this business is for you and you're willing to do the work and you're willing to endure and keep going, even in the darkest part of it, like it will absolutely reward you. Absolutely, it will reward you.
And like you say, stay consistent, stay on the road.
Yeah.
That's all it is, guys.
Just work. And
there's no magic pill.
There isn't. No, it's grind.
It is grind.
It's grind, and don't give up, because when you survive this part, then you get to partake in the good part. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
This is where we learn.
Definitely.
This is where we pick up new skills. This is where we get seasoned, right?
Sharpen those knives, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's all you can continue doing, So what is that the same advice, or what advice would you give new agents coming in?
Yeah, I mean, like
aside from buying homes, but I'm saying, like, as a newer agent coming in, as a realtor, what advice would you give them to see, for that success? What setups?
First of all, don't care about what anybody else has to say as far as any kind of discouragements or what you're doing, or am I gonna look silly if I put out content, or who's gonna, man, like you just have to go out and put yourself out there. And every room you've been in up until this point in your life have been people that you had the opportunity to network and connect with, right? So like a big part of my son, why I wanted him to get started with this course is like, as he's going to college right now, and he's got a little job at Stater Brothers, and he's hanging out with his friends from school. I said, I want you to start to understand that these are people that you will do business with, and whatever you endeavor in. Every person you come in contact with, I'm not saying they're a dollar sign, but they're a person that you can serve and help in some way in some chapter of their life. That's what purpose is.
Right.
Purpose is, how do I help every single person that is on my path, right? Like, I'm here to help other people. So I want him to start having that perspective. So the same thing, if wherever you're at, there's people that are on your path that you could help.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
And some of that's immediate business, and some of that's business that's way down the road, right? And that's okay too, because you gotta cast seeds.
Yeah, like you said, continue those relationships.
Yeah.
You know? And that's good that you're teaching your boys that, and that's things they're good. You know, not only is that something they're learning now, but that's a life skill.
Yeah,
it's a life skill.
Yeah, no matter what. I mean, that's honestly, it's like the same way I coach sports. It's like I love sports, but I love the lessons that we have the opportunity to teach. I look at it like this is an opportunity to speak life and motivation and passion into the next generation.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you fail, what'd you learn?
Right.
What'd you learn from that? What are you going to learn to get that next win?
Right.
I love that.
I either win or I learn. I never lose. Either I win or I learn. And it's the same thing in business.
No, absolutely.
Right. If I'm not killing it right now, man, I better have my notebook and my pen out and be writing down, because there's lessons right there in front of me. Right.
Yeah. Each transaction's a lesson for sure.
Yeah. Or the lack thereof.
That part too. And talking about lessons and all of that. So, backtrack a little bit about these little crazy stories about REOs and times and stuff. Because there's a bunch I'm sure you go through. Like we all have them, those that have been in the industry as long as you have.
Yeah.
And some.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your craziest, wildest story?
Man, I think, back at that time, there was several times when, we had squatters in REO listings, having to get people out of the house so we could sell it. Dealt with a lot of cash for keys, which was really sad and heartbreaking a lot of times, because we were the messenger coming to say, hey, the bank is willing to do this, but that's somebody's home. And whether they haven't made a mortgage payment for a year or 2 years, that's where they raise their children, right? That's where that's where they played catch, and things like that. So that was tough, but those I've walked into so many different situations where, like, you got a crack house going on, or all kinds of crazy.
I know.
But I there's a funny story. It wasn't a REO. It was an open house I was doing years later, and this one always makes me laugh, because my seller, my client, was like a cat lady.
Oh man.
And I'm not a cat person. Like, I'm a dog person. I'm not really about cats, but they're kind of creepy, I think. but she said, sometimes, like, our clients will say, hey, they're, the cat's under the bed most of the time. Just make sure we don't let them out. And this is like when you have 100 people coming through an open house kind of thing. Like, that's a pretty tough job, right? Like, you're okay. Where's Mr. Whiskers, right? And so I'm locking up. I'm finishing up, wrapping everything up at the open house, and I cannot find the cat. The cat is nowhere to be found. Like, I'm like, where's the cat? So I go outside. I'm like, dude, he must have got out. And I start walking down the street. I'm in Cooley Ranch in Colton. And we used to farm that area quite a bit.
Good old Colton.
Yeah. And I saw a cat. It looked just like the cat. So I start calling, Mr. Whiskers. I start going over there, and I'm in front of somebody else's house, and I'm like trying to pick up the cat. It's hissing at me, and it's like, I'm like, what's going on? And I said, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the cat. He wouldn't let me catch it. I called my seller, and the cat was there. That wasn't even her cat.
That was the neighbor's
I was
cat?
trying to pick up. So imagine the neighbors were watching me out the window, like
Trying to kidnap their cat.
Yeah, why is this dude trying to
Oh my god.
steal our cat right here?
Catnapper.
But I was sweating, like, because you don't want to let someone's
Right.
pet get lost. So that was just that always makes me kind of giggle when I think about that
Oh my god.
that story.
You just imagine the cat popping out and just
Yeah.
and the neighbor watching you kidnap their cat.
Yeah, like what's wrong with this guy,
So
man?
he's
Like,
going after puppies, guys. Hide your dogs.
yeah,
He's a dog lover. He didn't mention that.
that's right.
Don't care about your cats.
Yeah,
Your dogs.
yeah.
Dang. So REOs, yeah, those were some crazy times.
Man,
like
it
you said,
was.
cash for keys, the evictions and stuff.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
tough. And then
Did you ever go into border homes? I remember I had to go. I've had to pay people to hop in to open up those border homes a few times.
oh man, yeah, like squatters, like
Squatters,
in the
yeah.
house, lighting fires,
Yes.
find all kinds of crazy stuff in the houses for sure. Like, I had one bank owned listing REO where someone was spray painting like demonic stuff on the garage door and like, yeah, keep out and all kinds of crazy.
As they're walking up?
They're trying to like scare us away or
Right.
scare somebody away, right? Like, so yeah, just you saw a lot of people in desperate situations, and sadly sometimes they would destroy the houses or maybe getting bad advice from somebody that if you just kind of scare them away, they won't. I was like,
It won't bother, yeah.
I'm gonna sell this house, man.
I get it. I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah. If
I
I'm
might
coming,
just flip it.
I don't know if this is just me, but have you ever came into a house that's, vacant house, probably maybe an REO, and you can feel that somebody's in there?
Yeah, I've had two squatters. This is why thank God for location. Nowadays, back in the day, there wasn't that.
Yeah.
So I would literally try to have someone on the phone. I've had squatters pop out.
Oh my
of
goodness.
Closets.
Yeah. Yep. Or
Like,
run out the back.
Out and
Yeah.
there's like stolen items hidden in the house.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just like you. I got stories for days. But yeah, you can feel the energy of.
You can
someone
feel
just,
it. I don't know if you can feel it or you can
there.
smell it or there's something's like someone's
here.
in this house. I'll just be like, hey, I'm in here. Like,
Yeah.
You should probably get out right now,
I've been in some ritzy neighborhoods and done a little cash for keys and how that happened.
Yeah.
The Mace ladies, it works miracles.
And I think about it like
it's crazy.
Yeah, like for the ladies especially too, like that. I wouldn't want my wife or my sister kind of going into because those are some really sketchy situations.
And
a
you're
lot.
not in Colton, you said? Yeah. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I did a lot of REOs in San Bernardino. Yeah, Colton. Shout out to Colton.
Shout out to Colton. You guys are clean the IE. I was born in San Bernardino, so I can say that.
That's right.
But yeah, it just being in that little pocket at that time, yeah, I can only imagine. So when you were doing the let's retract back
Sure.
in that day, that's when the market crashed, right? So when you're doing bank owned properties, for those that don't know, there's a lot of foreclosure going on. Notice the defaults at home. People are not paying.
Yeah.
So when you're working with these asset managers, were you getting those drops of like 25, 50 homes?
I wasn't doing that kind of volume, and I'm glad because that would have felt a little too impersonal for me and my style, like because I'm so people centric.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was getting a good constant flow of REO listings during that time. And I really just came through establishing those relationships, showing them like if I got a BPO assignment, like I'm jumping on it immediately.
Explain what a BPO is.
Yeah, broker price opinion. It's almost like a little baby appraisal. And back then it would kind of go up on a board and you'd have to grab it
real quick.
Yeah.
You have to have someone ready at the keyboard.
Yeah. And then basically you're going out and it might be an external, it might be an internal where the property is occupied and you're actually
giving an opinion.
Yeah, and so you're giving you're giving comps and your adjustments. Very much like an appraisal, but in the eyes of a real estate professional.
So going back into that time, now speeding up to 2023, and you hear everyone saying, "Hey, the recession, the market's going to crash."
Yeah.
Like what is your input on that?
Yeah, so like we don't have a lot of the same ingredients as we had back then, right? So the biggest thing was so many people were upside down with their equity, right? And that caused people to kind of just let it go or stop making their payment. Right now, people are sitting on a lot of equity.
Mm-hmm.
And the loans that they have, for the most part, and there's always exceptions, right? There's no blanket generalization that covers everybody, but for the most part, people can afford their mortgage, and that's in combination of they got a really good interest rate that they don't want to mess up, right? And
Right.
or the fact that when they qualified for the loan, because of what happened back then, things got more stringent, things got more scrutinized, and they can actually afford that property that they live in, right? So those factors and those ingredients is why it doesn't make sense that the market would crash.
But you hear that consistently.
Yeah. Because I think it's because the economy on a whole, people are really concerned about and feeling the squeeze of uncertainty. But that's why us as real estate professionals, we have a job and a responsibility right now to inform and educate people. Here's why that won't happen, right? Because people can sell the house before they lose it, worst case scenario, and almost everybody has equity.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of equity, right? So there's safety nets in place before people get to that level of desperation. Remember, like there was all this predatory lending, there was all these adjustable rate mortgages where I can no longer afford to pay this mortgage, and I can't just sell it and make a couple $100,000 to roll into something else or a rental or whatever that might be. People have that now, right? And that's kind of what keeps us protected from that on a really high level. I think there's always going to be people that fall into hard times, lose a job, go through tragedy, and so there's always going to be some level of foreclosures. But the level of foreclosure activity is really, really historically low right now. Yeah, historically low.
So don't be scared to buy, guys.
Yeah, and here's the thing: if you're scared to buy, I understand. It feels intimidating, but it felt like that to your grandparents. Right. It felt like that to your parents.
And back then, the rates were even higher than they were now.
Yeah, and I know everyone says, yeah, but the prices weren't as high. Right. But everything is relative. You ever get a birthday card? You know, I was born in 1979. So you ever get a birthday card and it says, hey, a gallon of gas was this much, and a gallon of milk, and a loaf of bread, and a car, and a house. If you look at it, it sounds crazy, right? When my grandfather came to this country, he bought his house in West Covina for $33,000. How many of us have a vehicle that costs less than $33,000? Not many, right? And so everything in perspective, all the people that have generational wealth on the coast and at the beach and all that, man, those homes have been in those families for a long time. And when they were purchased, when they were acquired, when they were bought as their homes, as their residence, those prices sound crazy to us now. Right. But doesn't everything on that birthday card look crazy to us? And as the story goes on, 10 years from now, it'll be like the same thing we're saying. If I asked you, would you buy a house if you could 10 years ago?
Yeah.
How many? Right?
Like, right? I should have bought them all.
Right? The same story will be true 10 years from now. Right? And that's what real estate does over the long term. You have to find a way to get in the game. That's it.
But it's like how you said, it's our job to keep you guys informed and keep you educated, and we have to be informed ourselves so we can properly guide you to home buying, to home selling, or if not that, guide you here. To go refinance with this person or whatever. Not specifically people, but I'm saying, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
I think that's why.
But
I think that's why
it's
we're
important to educate
consultants.
everybody. Yeah.
I think that's why the word consultant is probably the best word to define what we do, because we don't make decisions for people. We give them all the information so they can make the best decision for their circumstances, for their families, right? That's what our job is. Like, hey, I'm on the front lines. I do this every day. I keep my finger on the pulse of the market. Here's what I'm seeing. And now that you've been informed, you can make a good decision.
Right.
That is it.
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce right there, right?
Yeah. And I like that, you keep pushing that and your boys are seeing it. And like you said, your son's now getting licensed. So, he's going to join Main Street. But again, we can keep him informed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Consult him in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I like how you just keep going with the education. And like you said, the generational wealth, the knowledge, right? You keep pushing that,
Right.
It continues to follow. And like, even like you said, going back to your clients, they may not come back to you now, but they'll come back to you then.
Right.
So it's just that
it's a long-term mindset. Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta keep dating and dating and dating the real estate market, guys. It's
Yeah.
just, you gotta keep learning, gotta keep going. So I love that you continue doing that. You continue putting the education out there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Those videos are really on point.
Yeah, I think that's our service. I think that's our duty,
Yeah. So what's your IG so everyone can follow you?
Yeah, Nick Ondatje, NickOndatje, at Nick Ondatje. Yeah, really.
Say that last name again.
Yeah, Ondatje.
Oof. Yeah, so Nick, we love having you here on the podcast.
Enjoyed
Thank
it.
you so much for coming.
Yeah.
So for those of you, again, please follow us. Please follow Nick. Watch his videos. Go to his channels. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel here at the Main Pod. So please watch. Stay tuned for next week, and we love having you. And
thank you guys so much.
We're gonna bring you back on and hear more of these crazy stories.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Nick.
Julian,
Thank you,
brother.
Julian.
Appreciate you.